Across Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network and streaming worldwide on the Civic Media app. Good afternoon, everybody. Todd Allbaugh here, along with Mr. Aaron Zommers, our producer and engineer, back at the world headquarters in downtown Madison on a beautiful day here in southwest Wisconsin. We are on location at Six Springs Farm. It is the 29th of July, 2025, and it is an especially great day to be a Wisconsinite. Welcome in, everybody, for this great on-location show. I should mention Chris Geezy, our on-site producer, with us as well, along with Zommers, back at the world headquarters. Mr. Zommers, I can only say I wish you were here back in my part of the state, the Driftless region, because we got a very special guest with us today.
Yes, it's one that Todd has been excited about for a long time, and I think all of us really.
Yeah, it really is, and a lot of people are looking forward to it. So let's get right to it. He's sitting next to me for those watching on the stream, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. If you're not, if you want to see a great visual, we are literally outstanding in our field. Well, not our field, but Joe Thomas's field. He is a Hall of Famer for the Wisconsin Badgers in college football, as well as in the NFL for the Cleveland Browns, and the owner and founder of Hall of Fame Beef. Sitting next to me, Mr. Joe Thomas. Joe, thanks for letting us do this.
Oh, man, this is so cool. I never in my wildest dreams in 2012 when I bought this farm thought I'd be sitting next to you, Todd, in my pasture doing a live radio show throughout, not just Wisconsin, throughout the world. We heard it. This is the worldwide headquarters down the street in Madison. And I guess, can this be the worldwide headquarters for Six Springs Farm?
It is.
I think
you
it makes
just made it so.
There it is. Well, a lot of worldwide headquarters around it. This is beautiful.
It really is. This means so much to me. As we were talking before, people, regular viewers and listeners of this show, Brady Ewing, a fellow Richland Centerite, our parents lived 2 houses apart, watched him go through Wisconsin, and he's kind enough, when we just started this show almost 3 years ago, he was one of the first guests that came on, continues to do it, and just watching his career, watching your career from afar, never thought I'd have a chance to sit next to a Hall of Famer. I used to watch you on Sundays all over national television, and then watch you on the NFL Network, because you do it all, not just a player, you're also an analyst.
Yeah, I had to find a way to stay in football when I retired without coaching, because the coaching lifestyle didn't exactly mesh with the cattle ranching and the dad lifestyle. So it was a perfect combination to be able to stay around the game of football, give me a reason to watch all the games, dial in, do the homework, but then still have a little free time to get out here to the farm, do some hunting, chase some cattle around, coach the kids, and still have that little bit of balance that you don't get when you play in the NFL.
Yeah, well, I hope our listeners, our viewers will stick around for the entire 2 hours. Going to be a jam-packed show. Going to talk with Joe just a little bit about his college career and the transition to the NFL. And then we're going to get into a lot of what the heck are we doing in a field, and how does a kid from Brookfield end up in southwest Wisconsin raising cattle. And then our friend and co-host for the afternoon, Brady Ewing, is going to join us here on the set as well. And you never know, Joe, who's going to show up at Six Springs Farm. Might have a surprise guest by the end of the show.
We might have a surprise. I'm really excited. I hope it works out. The man is extremely busy. He's also in agriculture, and we've been trying to find a time to get together and bring him out here and show him the farm, and I'm just crossing my fingers it works out today.
We're hoping for it. And also in hour 2, again, our regular listeners and viewers know we do this goofy thing in hour 2 called What's Worse. Today, the other white meat edition of that's what happens when Brady and I hang out together. I'm the other white meat. But no, it's chicken or beef, or chicken or pork. Chicken or pork. We'll do that in hour number 2. And Joe has been kind enough to say he'll take some of your phone calls in hour number 2 as well. Your chance to ask the Hall of Famer something about farming, about his football career. We'll take those calls in hour number 2 as well. Joe, let's just start off. Tell us a little bit, first of all. We'll do the present and we'll go back. But this is a beautiful place in southwest Wisconsin, kind of a stone's throw, we'll say, from where Brady and I grew up in Richland County. It's a beautiful part of the state. What just initially made, you grew up in Brookfield. By the way, our own Dan Schaefer, political editor, when he heard this was happening, he goes, I went to church with Joe Thomas's family at the Lutheran Church.
There you go, Cross of Life Lutheran Church there in Brookfield. That's beautiful.
So I'll bring Dan Schaefer back some snack sticks after the show.
Nice.
But you grew up in Brookfield, but you weren't a farming kid growing up, right?
No, it wasn't. Drove by some farms. They looked like they were having a good time out there when I would drive by. But I was always a country kid, even though I did grow up in the suburbs. For family vacations, what we did is my dad would take us in the van. We'd drive up to Canada and we'd go fishing. We'd go canoeing, camping up in the Quetico in the wilderness up there, or the Boundary Waters. And so from when I was a little kid, I was just in love with being outside. I did not want to be inside 1 second. I wanted to be dirty and I wanted to be sweaty. I wanted to be wrestling my buddies, catching fish. You know, I got into hunting when I was in middle school through one of my friends who had some land up in Trempealeau County. And I just always had this feeling like I just maybe didn't miss my calling, but I wasn't born into a family of farmers, and I always wished I would have, because I have grandparents, great-grandparents, same with my wife, that were farmers and then left the farm and, you know, moved to the city like a lot of people. But once I got to the NFL, I always thought, like, hey, if I can take anything from my career, I want to be able to have a little spot of my own in the country where I can hunt and fish and take my kids and make those amazing memories that families that have the opportunity to get outside and get into the country are able to make. And, you know, I was lucky enough that found the perfect place here in Muscatine, Wisconsin.
Yeah, I think it's great. But I love that story because I think it speaks to so many people. We were just up in Butternut last week. We did the show up there in Hayward. And I think about how many guys maybe that want to play football or girls that want to play professional basketball, whatever it might be. And they're sitting there in rural Wisconsin, man, if I could just play in the NFL. And here's a Hall of Famer sitting there in Cleveland going, man, if I could just get back to Wisconsin and farm.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. I mean, that's why I played football, so I could make enough money to go farm when I was done, right? There is life after football. It includes some farming, but no, I mean, I was in college, and it was funny because I had a friend who had a farm in Gotham, and I'd never been west of Madison growing up. You know, growing up in the Milwaukee area, it's pretty flat, not a lot of hills out there, and I didn't even know that the Driftless part of the state existed. I didn't realize we have hills like this. I didn't realize we have valleys and trout streams, and it was in college when my friend invited me out to Gotham, and I drove out here to do some turkey hunting. And I all of a sudden hit that first bluff as you leave Madison on Highway 14 going west. And I'm like, where did I go? I don't think I made it all the way to Colorado. Is this the Rockies, Mom? And it was at that moment where I was like, well, okay, now I know where I want my farm. If I got a chance to get some land, it's in the western part of the state. It's the Driftless because it's wild. The people are wonderful and fantastic. The hunting's amazing. The trout fishing is incredible. And you have this unique biodiversity that's right here. And although I didn't have a lot of plans to be a farmer, I knew that, hey, if there was a place that I ended up raising livestock or I wanted to tend to crops and cash crop, like this is where you want to be because it's got the most fertile soils in the state. It's got the most interesting topography. We keep out a lot of the big, huge corporate farmers because we don't have those big fields that they can efficiently plant with the giant tractors and the big combines. And so there was a small town family farm feel when I was out here, and it just felt like home the minute I walked out for the very first time turkey hunting in Gotham, Wisconsin, not too far down the river here.
Mom still lives back in Richland Center, and whenever I drive back from Madison, I get to Spring Green. I see those kind of bluffs and hills. I think, well, I'm home. You know? I mean, there's a certain feeling out here, and it's really cool to hear somebody like you connect with that and feel that too. And that's why I talk it up a lot. You know, I'm very proud to come from this part of the state for all the reasons that you said. You were talking with Joe Thomas, Hall of Famer in college and the NFL as well as far as football. We're here at his farm, Six Springs Farm in southwest Wisconsin. Joe, you were one of the last players that played for the great Barry Alvarez for the Wisconsin Badgers, played all 4 years at Wisconsin, had a great career there. Just let's before we get to the present, we'll bring Brady in later on, do the over-under for this season later. But let's talk about your
Put the
time.
pressure on him. I'm not ready for that
yet. But talk a little bit about your career at Wisconsin. Again, Barry Alvarez, a legend in his own right.
Yeah, Barry was so awesome to play for. And I just feel so fortunate because I played 3 years for Barry and then my last year with Brett Bielema. So I got to see both coaching styles and kind of see the beginning of Brett's career and then it was right there at the end of Barry's career. And I learned so much, not just with football, but just about being a man, being an adult, taking responsibility, being in charge of your own happiness with Barry. Because I always thought that even when you walked in there as an 18-year-old freshman, he treated you like a man, but then he expected you to do man things. Like he worked your butt off, and it really taught you that work ethic, taught you what the culture of being a Wisconsin Badger is all about. It taught you about, how you go through hard times and adversity and you pull together and the meaning of working for not just yourself, but the team concept of doing something for the man that's next to you. And those are lessons that I took throughout my NFL career that helped me, and then now they're the same values and lessons I'm trying to teach my kids, and there's no better place to teach them those values than in Wisconsin and on a farm in Wisconsin. So that's why it's just every chance we get, we bring the kids out here. We're trying to work the cattle. We're trying to go run around and get dirty and just teach them about what childhood should be all about.
Right. I watched the Brewers game last night. Jacob Mizorowski, the Miz, was on the mound. Got beat up a little bit in the first inning. Had a couple of maybe a bad call and a ball off of his leg, and the Brewers were down 3-0 in the first inning. But the kid kept his composure, bounced back, and as you said under Barry Alvarez in football, I think it really. It reveals who a person is internally as well as athletically when you have to go through and push through those hard times in athletics.
Yeah, I think adversity does a great job of revealing who you are, your true character. You know, my wife and I always laugh when you meet like an old crusty person. You talk about age kind of just reveals who you are. You just become more of whatever you are. And that's the same thing with adversity. If you're a person that's always looking to cut and run and looking for an excuse not to fight your way out of something, like it's going to show up when times get tough. It's going to show up on the football field, on the practice field, in training camp when it's 90 degrees and you're sweating, you're losing 10 pounds of sweat every single day. And it would be easy to just be like, hamstring's a little tight today. You can see me in the training room, right? It's air conditioned in there. But just having that mentality, like whatever it takes, I'm going to figure it out because this is important, and making it about somebody besides yourself, which always makes you fight harder and work harder. And I'm just so thankful to have that background, obviously growing up in the state, learning the values that the state of Wisconsin has, and also learning the culture of what a Wisconsin Badger meant, going back all the way when Barry first got there in the 90s. And it's important life lessons, like I mentioned, that I'm telling my kids today and trying to preach to them. Of course, they're never listening, but at some point, maybe one of those things will strike home and they'll remember it.
2 minutes here before the first break, Joe. I was at the Dane County Memorial Coliseum for a Badger hockey game the night that they introduced Barry Alvarez, and the place went crazy.
How about that?
And we all from the outside said this guy has something. What was it like to be in the locker room later on after he'd been there a while, but to witness that? The guy just seems to have a vision that's unshakable.
Yeah, he was a guy that came to Wisconsin with a vision. He knew what he wanted, and he knew how to get it done, and he knew the guys that he needed to get in there to make it happen. And, I mean, they had a lot of turnover. I'm sure in the first couple of years, there was a lot of guys in the team saying, this Barry Alvarez guy, he'll never work. I can't play for him. I'm out of here, right? And that's just natural when you're bringing in a new culture, a new way of doing things, but you have that vision, that unwavering vision of how things have to go and the type of people that you need, not only just from the player standpoint, but the coaching standpoint, to get to that ultimate goal. And for Barry, it was so important that they were able to turn it around and get to that Rose Bowl and win it, because then that just proves your theory, not only for everybody else, but for yourself, that this is the right track. These are the things and the values that I need to teach on this team to have consistent success. And then he went on and he did it for a really, really long time.
I was going to school at Platteville when in '94 when they went to that first Rose Bowl, and it was electric. I mean, it was fantastic. Joe Thomas is our guest. We're here at Six Springs Farm in Southwest Wisconsin. When we come back, Joe got drafted third, but instead of going to the draft, he did something else. We'll tell you what that is after this. Don't go anywhere. It's the Todd Allbaugh Show, live on location at Six Springs Farm on the Civic Media Radio Network. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show, live on location from Six Springs Farm, here along with Joe Thomas, the proprietor thereof, also NFL and college football Hall of Famer. Straight off of Joe's Spotify playlist. Joe, we appreciate you sharing some of that. Zomer is going to be playing some of that back at home. But you're a country music guy.
I love country music. I actually went to 2 days of Morgan Wallen when he was at Camp Randall.
I saw that on your Insta.
Yeah. Went the first night with my wife and some of our friends. It was awesome, and I was still buzzing the next day. And my kids are big Morgan Wallen fans, so we were like, should we just try to get some tickets and get out there? We got to take these kids. I mean, it was such an amazing event, and being the first concert at Camp Randall in, I don't know, a couple decades. They really did an awesome job, and the fans were out there. It was an awesome show. So I'm really happy I took the family there. Unfortunately, my 6-year-old had enough right before Morgan Wallen came out wearing my jersey.
Oh,
so
no.
I didn't even get to see that.
Oh, no.
I was carrying her in the parking lot by lot 17. and she was crying. And it was like 11 o'clock at night because there was a rain delay that night, and so it got started a little bit later. And all of a sudden, my phone is just blowing up. I got my Apple Watch on, so I can see all these people texting me. And I finally looked, and there was a picture of Morgan Wallen wearing my jersey. And I'm like, "Are you serious? It's happening right in there right now." And I just left with my 6-year-old. So that was a surprise, but it was a fun story. I can tell her when she gets older and more responsible.
But people were talking about this on socials that they didn't reach out to you. They didn't coordinate that, right?
No. I mean, I'd been in communication with their manager, and they gave me tickets, which I was very happy for because they were not cheap tickets and not easy to get. But yeah, I was like, you know what? If he's going to wear my jersey, it would be nice to get a heads up so I could at least stay for one more song, maybe. I mean, obviously they didn't know that was going to be the situation, but it was kind of funny. So I'm hoping to see him again because he's coming to Cleveland on the big stadium tour. So I'll be out there for the Browns preseason games and stuff. So I'm hoping to catch him one more time.
By the way, years ago, my dad is a big music guy, and we flew out to Cleveland together for a dad-son trip. We went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which is spectacular, but people don't realize how close that is to the stadium. And I got to go in it. I mean, it's a really cool stadium right next to Lake Erie there.
Yeah, it's awesome. They did a great job right there with that little lakefront area. The whole river as it goes in is called the Flats District, and they've renovated it with a ton of cool music and bar and breweries. And so that area is really cool. And then you go around the corner and you're right on the lake, and it's the Browns Stadium. You got the Science Center right there, which is a great spot for kids, especially my wife had 3 little kids, and I was in practice all day, and so she went there all the time because it was a good way to waste a few hours and get the kids out of the house. And then right next to it's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which is awesome. If you're a fan of any music, really, going there and seeing the memorabilia and hearing the stories, it's incredible. Actually, when I got inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame, we had a celebration in Cleveland for all my Cleveland friends and family and some of the people from the team. And so we actually had it at the Rock Hall, which was really awesome. Yeah, it was a special night.
That's really, really amazing. Well, speaking of special nights, after playing for Wisconsin, did outstanding, end up getting drafted 3rd in 2007 in the NFL draft. And today, of course, we was up in Lambeau this year, and it's a week-long production now, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't quite that,
Nope.
but they wanted you to come to the draft.
They did. They were upset when I said I've got better things to do. I'm fishing with my dad. It's been on the calendar for 18 years at this point. I've been doing this since I was 4 years old. Didn't you guys get the memo? But Gil Brandt, he was a scout for the Cowboys for a long time. Actually made the NFL Hall of Fame as a scout. I don't know if he's the first one ever, but legendary figure in NFL circles. And at that time he was working for the NFL, and he was selecting the 5 players that they were going to invite to the draft, because at that point they would just invite 5 guys. They would come and then, do the dog and pony show, wear your expensive suit that you probably can't afford yet because you haven't signed your contract. Go and shake Roger Goodell's hands, hang out with all the media people, put your face on TV. And as a lineman, that was not exactly a high priority for me. First of all, I didn't have a suit. So I'm trying to figure out, okay, how do I get a suit made? That's going to be costly. Don't want to do that. Not exactly a suit guy. And then also I was like, why would I want to go hang out with a bunch of people I don't know? Right. On draft day, if this is supposed to be a special day, I want to be with the people that are meaningful to me, like my family, my dad. And knowing that after you get drafted, you basically get put on a plane and immediately you go to your city. You have media, press conference, and then you jump right into rookie minicamp, and then you're pretty much gone until about the 1st of July, and then they give you a few weeks off before training camp starts. But, I mean, it is fast. So you go from just training and being done with college and getting ready for the combine and the draft to all of a sudden, boom, you're on a team. You are now, especially me as a first-round pick, you are the guy that's got the pressure that all the eyes are going to be on. And so things get really busy. And I was looking at the calendar I don't know when the next time I'm going to be able to fish with my dad is going to be. So I'm definitely taking this opportunity. And so Gil called me a couple times and was all excited. Hey, can't wait to tell you, Joe, we're going to have you out to New York for the NFL draft. And I don't think I said anything the first time we talked because I was a little surprised, but I also didn't want to tell him right away and make him be upset. So I just told my agent, I was like, I don't think I'm going to go to the draft. I'm going to just go fish with my dad. And he's like, okay, no problem. It's no big deal. I'm like, they tell me I'm going to get all these marketing dollars, but I'm a lineman. I got a face for radio, and they don't really want to see me. It's not really worth my time, and I'd rather just go fish. And so I told Gil then the next time he called, and I think he was pretty surprised because nobody at that point yet had said they're not going to New York because I think people saw it like like he was trying to portray it as, hey, look at this great opportunity. The NFL world can get to know you. They can see your face. As a football player, you're wearing your helmet all the time, so people don't really know your face like they do in the other sports. And so this is your big breakthrough opportunity. And I said, Gil, I appreciate it. It's a great honor, but I'd rather go fishing with my dad. And I'm going to just be honest. Like, I think if I make any money in football, it's going to be on the field. It's not going to be doing endorsements for Dove chocolates or somebody like this. Like, I'm a football player. I'm a lineman. Okay. And so he was like, whatever, went back to the NFL. And then I get another call, and the tone changed a little bit. Now he's like pissed because you could tell the NFL was giving him heat. Like, hey, we got to get these 5 guys there. We got a show to have. Like, there's no show without the actors, so we need him there. And so then he started hitting me with this real heavy full court press about like, hey, you gotta be here, or they're gonna think you're a prima donna, and we'll maybe finish after the commercial break here.
He's a pro. He works for the NFL Network. Come on, we'll finish the story on the other side. Pam Yonke, Midwest Farm Report, and the Ag Update is next. We'll be back live at Six Springs Farm after this. Don't go anywhere. It's the Allbaugh Show on location on the Civic Media Radio Network. Welcome back to the Todd Allbaugh Show from Lake Michigan to Lake Superior, Green Bay to the Mississippi River, and all points in between across the Civic Media Radio Network. Glad to have you along on a Tuesday afternoon. We're live from Six Springs Farm in beautiful southwest Wisconsin. That is home to me and home to the person joining us here on the set, the one, the only. He is a 3-time Big Ten champion with the Wisconsin Badger football team and spent 3 years in the league, as they say. Mr. Brady Ewing joins us now. Brady, thanks for coming on down, hop, skip, and a jump. How you doing, my friend?
Doing great. Thanks for letting me join you guys today.
It's our pleasure. And, of course, our main host here at Six Springs Farm, the owner, the proprietor, NFL Hall of Famer, College Football Hall of Famer, Mr. Joe Thomas. Joe, once again, thank you for allowing us to come out here and tell this story. Really, really appreciate this today.
Oh, this is awesome. This is so special for us out here to be able to tell the story of the farm and tell the story of the great people and places and the great things we're doing here in the Driftless area.
Yeah, absolutely. So before the break, I had to step away to do a little Midwest Farm Report. And who is better than Pam Yonke?
Nobody.
Right?
Nobody. I thought she was AI before AI existed because she never makes a mistake.
Right.
She's so clear and perfect and interesting every time she does all the market reports and stuff. And I just love listening. I wish I could just listen to her all day. Like if I could just put that on the radio in the skid loader, the tractor, and just have her talk ag to me all day long. Somebody needs to develop that app, and I'd buy it.
I'm down for that. And, of course, she's a big NFL fan for the Packers, of course. But I mean, she loves the NFL.
Yeah, Fabulous Farm Babe is also an NFL fan. I mean, I'm not surprised. She's the total package.
She really is. We're happy and fortunate to have her here as part of the Civic Media Radio Network. Joe, before the break, you were telling us a little bit about being drafted number 3 in 2007. You skipped the draft. Back then, it was always in New York, because you wanted to go fishing with your dad and your grandpa, and your agent seemed to be okay, but other people really wanted you to come.
Well, the NFL realized that in order for them to make tens of millions of dollars with TV rights, they need the players there, but they weren't sharing it with us at the time. And so I think after they kind of took a little hardball approach to say, like, if you don't come, they're going to think you're a prima donna. Nobody's going to want you. I was like, okay, we'll see. Like, I think I'll be all right. I don't think I'm getting docked because I'd rather go fishing with my dad than be on TV. So we pushed back. I'm so happy that I went fishing that day, and I never did it for anything other than I just was not interested in New York, and I'd much rather spend the day fishing with my dad. And it's interesting because that story resonated with so many people. And even to this day, when the draft comes up, and I got a chance to work the draft this year in Green Bay, there's so many people that aren't Browns fans that are like, hey, you're that guy that went fishing with your dad. And then they'll tell me a story that it's so close to my heart because they'll tell me, my dad passed away 10 years ago, but that's what I always loved to do on the weekends with him. And I have so many great memories of him fishing. So thanks for doing that because it gave me an opportunity to reflect on our relationship. And so just doing something unintentionally, having an effect on people and giving them the emotion, the feeling, the family, opportunity to reflect on those times that they had and what fishing provides, what the outdoors provides to so many families. It's so cool because I'm hoping that that's a story that keeps being told and gives people a reason, like, you know what, instead of working today, I'm going to go fishing with my kid. I'm going to make the time because it's impactful. It's memories that they're going to remember for the rest of their life.
Brady, we talk about this on this show all the time, but the value of time with family. And I think that story about Joe, just tells you everything you need to know about this guy. But I think from a fan perspective, to your point, Joe, I mean, when we announced that you were coming on last week, we had people texting in saying, I'll always love Joe Thomas because he gave the middle finger to the draft. Their words, not mine.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what happened.
But put his family first. And Brady, I think that is just so important to the character as somebody who played in college, who played in the NFL. Isn't that the guy you want in your team?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, to have your priorities in line to where you want to spend time with your dad, even amidst a big opportunity like that, is crazy. I mean, I know myself as a dad, I find excuses now to not take my kids fishing, but what a better example from Joe to say, even in this big pinnacle moment of your career, to still prioritize that. And maybe there was some ulterior motives with throwing up the middle finger, but it's really cool. And I remember, looking up to you as a kid growing up in the state of Wisconsin, to remember seeing that and hearing that story. It was impactful to me at that time and still is today. So thanks for that.
Thank you, man.
I think it really set the tone for a lunch pail kind of guy in Cleveland. I'm coming in here to work my ass off, not to be a prima donna.
Yeah, obviously I didn't know who was going to draft me. Maybe if I got drafted in New York or L.A. or where, Arizona, it'd be a different reception. But as soon as I got to Cleveland, I mean, that was what all the fans wanted to talk to me about. Like, oh, that was so cool. We knew you were going to be one of us. When you decided to go fishing with your dad, you had the priorities in order. And Cleveland's a lot like Milwaukee, like Ohio, Wisconsin, very similar type people, very similar values. Family's really important. The outdoors are a big part of a lot of people's lives. And so they were Browns fans, but they also knew, like, hey, when you went fishing, it told us a lot about who you are and what's important to you and that you're going to be a great fit here for the Browns.
One of the coolest things to bring up another sport for a second I ever got to do was go to the old county stadium and see Cal Ripken at Milwaukee County Stadium back in the day. But Joe, you're the Cal Ripken of the NFL. I mean, 11 years, 11 seasons at Cleveland, had 10,363 consecutive snaps, not games, folks, snaps, the longest in the NFL. You just came to work every day and got it done.
Yeah, that is the mentality that I had growing up. That's the values and the perspective that my dad gave me. Like, my dad, I think he never missed a day of work in like 20 years. And there was one day in Milwaukee that he told me about when I was a kid where they got like 16 inches of snow. And he was living, I think, in Wauwatosa at the time. And it was like 15 miles to get into the office. And instead of making an excuse and finding a reason why I can't work and I can't get my stuff done today, it's like, okay. He's like, I put my cross-country skis on and I skied to work. I had a backpack with my suit and everything I needed. I got there and I got my job done. Yeah. And I think it's interesting, like, when you make that decision, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to let anything stop, it's almost a freeing feeling because then you don't have to think about every little thing. Should I do that today? I don't know. How hard should I work? You're able to just eliminate that from your mind, and it's like, I'm here to work. I'm here to do the job. Tell me what you need done, and I'm going to do it. And I think it's just a nice, easy feeling of freedom and gives you the ability to just focus on what I have to do. And whatever it takes, I'm going to be the best left tackle I possibly can. I'll be there every day, and you can count on me.
We're here at Six Springs Farm in southwest Wisconsin, talking to NFL Hall of Famer, College Football Hall of Famer Joe Thomas, along with my co-host for the rest of the show, Brady Ewing, in his own right, three-time Big Ten champion for the Wisconsin Badgers, and also spent 3 years in the NFL. Guys, I want a little discussion here. Mainly, I'm just going to sit here and watch, but what I'm interested is, I mean, Joe, you were blessed, I would say, but you worked your butt off to earn it, but also just fortunate in this sport to have 11 consecutive seasons until it was a bicep you tore.
Tore my tricep in year 11.
Sorry,
yep.
In year 11. Brady, your NFL career was cut short by injuries. You were pretty much healthy your entire time at Wisconsin, and then just ran into the injury bug in the NFL. Didn't get to spend as much time there, but I like both of your observations, Brady, you, and then Joe. What do you take away from the time that you did have in the league, in football, and how do you apply that to what you do today?
It's what Joe talked about earlier, the lessons you learn going alongside a team, searching to pursue a certain goal together, going through that adversity, going through the daily grind where you have to make that decision, because even if you do make that decision, there's still days where you're like, oh crap, like we're going to go out there and we got to do this thing again. And I'm interested in Joe's perspective on that, because as a guy that contrasts his career, playing 3 years, all of which ended up on injured reserve at some point, I didn't really have the ability to make that decision. So I'm interested to hear how you did that, especially as your career aged. How were you able to make that decision and still find that balance to, keep yourself healthy and still go out and attack it and lead the team in an organization that you were a staple for many years.
Yeah. It takes a lot of good fortune and good luck to play a full NFL season and be healthy, right? I mean, it's a very violent sport. There's a lot of big collisions, and things can happen. I mean, even things that aren't your fault, like the pile falls on the back of your legs or things like that really are hard to control. But I always just prided myself in my preparation, and that was the film work, that was study of the playbook, understanding, hey, okay, if I'm running an outside zone to the left and that back's going to cut back, this is the hole, like, there's going to be a dude flying in from the other side tackling him. So I better keep my feet moving and drive my guy to the hole, or that's the back of my knee. That's the entire pile is going to be tackled on. So having awareness like that helped. Obviously, God-given ability is really important. Your genetic makeup, just like the 100% Wagyu cows behind us, genetically predisposed to having buttery, delicious marbled beef. But you're not going to get there unless you feed them the right way. And that was the same thing like in my career. Like I knew that I had to eat the right way to be able to keep the weight on, to be able to recover from the hard workouts. And then as my career wore on, it was much more about focusing on the things that I needed to do off the field: yoga, stretching, cold tub, hot tub, massage, the dry needling, all the different things that helps keep you on the field. And really a big part of it for me was finding yoga and practicing yoga on a almost daily basis and learning to connect your mind to your body and being able to feel and sense within your own body as an athlete. I'm sure, Brady, you felt the same way. Like, when something's not working right, the sequencing, the muscles are not all firing the way they should, and trying to take care of it before practice starts rather than going out there and saying, I'll just play through it. And then all of a sudden now you're favoring that, and then you do get injured somewhere else. And so just really being diligent with all of your prehab, with all of your rehab, and making sure that your training is spot on so that you're going to at least give yourself the best chance to stay healthy when you do go out there.
It's fascinating to me. And as you look at, my career and the things, to going back to your question, what I learned from that time, physically, I think you learn a ton about your body, about your mind, about pushing certain limits, and being able to channel what you've learned there as a dad in the business world, that motivation, the way that you find yourself, facing certain situations where, like you said earlier, it's like, okay, I got no choice. I got my family counting on me. I got, this thing, like, what am I going to do? Curl back in a corner? Like, that wasn't an option on the football field. And if it was, you wouldn't be a part of the team. Mm-hmm. And so using those lessons, let alone the relationships that you have, the people that you meet, the people that you're able to have an impact on just because of the platform that the game's blessed you with. Your platform far exceeds anything that I've been fortunate to have. But, it puts you in contact with some amazing people, and you get to learn from them too. So I'd say that's some of the biggest blessings of my football career.
Joe, 2 minutes left here before the next break. But what you both said, I think those of us who are fans, we think, I see a lot of high school football games, and those guys work hard too. But what you said, both you said, the preparation, the awareness, taking care, it is a job. It's not just going out there playing a game like kids every Sunday afternoon. It is a full-time job to take care of your body and your mind so you can perform.
Yeah, there's a reason that a lot of NFL players are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on chefs and massage therapists and all these personal trainers and physical therapists, because your job is your business in the NFL, and I've got to stay healthy. I've got to be at my best. I got to be in great shape at all times, because this is what I'm riding, whether I succeed or I fail when I'm out there. And like Brady was saying, my family's counting on me. My teammates are counting on me. The city's counting on me. And that was one of the things that I mentioned in my Hall of Fame speech down in Canton a few years ago, was the lessons that I learned from Barry Alvarez. And one of the things he'd always say is, count on me. We had a big sign in the locker room that said, count on me. And that's the type of teammate that he wanted. That's the type of teammate that I always strive to be. I want to be that guy that could say it in hard times. Hey, count on me. Let's go. I know we're down 14-0 right now, but this is our roadmap to getting that victory, and count on me. Follow me. I'll be the leader. I'll be that guy that's breaking down the door. So if you follow me, we'll be all right.
We're going to come back, talk more with Joe Thomas, Brady Ewing, little Badger football, and transition into hour 2, which is going to be all about beef. Don't go anywhere. Live from Six Springs Farm here in Southwest Wisconsin, across Wisconsin, on the Civic Media Radio Network. I don't care whether you're going through downtown Milwaukee, Green Bay, Eau Claire, whether you're on a tractor in Amory or Richland Center. You haven't got it as good as we do, right? Isn't it Jim Harbaugh that says, who's got it as good as we? Nobody.
I know that answer.
Nobody.
Nobody.
We got it good here, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to our live on-location show today from Six Springs Farm in southwest Wisconsin. Hall of Famer in the NFL and college football, Joe Thomas is not only our host, but our guest as well here at Six Springs Farm, along with three-time Big Ten champion and spent 3 years in the NFL, Mr. Brady Ewing, on the set with us as our co-host for the rest of the show as well. Joe, off the stream, I got to get up here because I don't have the glasses on. Tony on YouTube says, who wins between Joe Thomas and current Miles Garrett? Since Joe obviously
peak Joe Thomas.
Oh, peak Joe Thomas and current Miles Garrett. He says, since Joe obviously wins, should the Browns have also paid you $40 million a year?
Okay, I'm glad that they answered the question for me. Yes, I mean, that's the easiest question we'll probably get all day. I'm in full agreement. And call me, I need a new agent.
Thank you, Tony, on YouTube. We appreciate that. Look, guys, let's talk a little bit about Badger football, but I don't want to ignore this here before we really get into talking about a lot of Wagyu beef, especially in hour two. That's the really cool part about being out here today. Brady and I have talked about this, Joe, on our show, and before each season, Brady and I have looked at the schedule and offered our prognostications. Now, look, there may have been two of the three people on the set today that bought all the hype in year one of Luke Fickell and said they would get to the college football playoffs, and it's not Joe Thomas.
Not good. Injuries happen.
But just give us your reflections. I mean, I said to Brady, a couple 3 weeks ago, I said, can you name one person on the current Badger football roster? And for the first time since I can remember, I can't. And I mean, I know there's NIL now, and there's a transfer portal, and it's not the same as when you guys played, right? But I think there's a lot of Wisconsin. Now, J.J. Watt was back in Wisconsin last week before, really trying to connect the past with the present. But give us your feelings, Joe, on this current iteration of the Badgers. They have what some are saying the toughest schedule in college football this year. What are your thoughts?
It's a tough schedule. I mean, you look at it, when Brady and I were playing, you had at least 4 cupcakes on the calendar that you knew you were going to win those. And then, Minnesota, Iowa, Nebraska, they weren't as good as they are right now. And so you knew if you played well enough, you're going to win those games. And then as long as you beat either Michigan, Ohio State, or Penn State, you were going to have a 10-win season, and it would be chalked up to a great success. But the NFL and college football are a lot more similar now, where the schedules are a lot more challenging, obviously with the realignment of the Big Ten and adding UCLA and USC and Oregon. Like, now you've got every single week where it's a really tough battle, and you can't just sneak by beating a bunch of patsies and get into a bowl game. And so I think it's a challenging time because of obviously NIL and the transfer portal, and then on top of that, you have a much more difficult schedule than when we were there. But all of those things put together, and by the way, like, fans' expectations are still what they were 10 years ago about, hey, we got to get to 10 wins to have a successful season, even though the field of college football is just a lot different. I think the transfer portal, NIL, they've made a lot more parity throughout the league. It's one of the reasons Nick Saban didn't want to do it anymore, because he couldn't stack his roster with 5-star recruits the way he used to, because other teams can pay money too, just like they've been doing forever. Hope did I say that?
Brady?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough year. I mean, I talk about the non-conference schedule we used to have. If you played well, if you showed up and did what you were supposed to do, those were typically wins. Now they got Alabama, I think, this year as a non-conference game. And you look at Illinois, you look at Minnesota, you look at others that, yeah, they're not gimmies anymore, and they've been outperforming the Badgers the last couple of years. So it feels weird as a former player to where, we've traditionally been one of those top-tier teams with the realignment, with some of these other programs coming up, like Bielema bringing Illinois up. It's tough to see as a former Badger. It's tough to see them struggling. I'm hopeful with the new offensive coordinator, and I like his mindset. I like his mentality of being I think he said run-first offense, I believe is what he said, but just that mentality piece I feel like has been missing in the identity for the Badgers here the last couple of years, that run first, physical type offense.
And just a couple minutes left, but I think that's what, as fans, what do we know? But I think that's what frustrated that, hey, I mean, Chris McIntosh rolled the dice, decided to blow it up, let Jimmy Leonard go. And I think a lot of Badger fans are like, why blow up what had been more or less working for so long? You rolled the dice with a whole new system, and people feel like you've lost 3 years.
Yeah, there's a lot of love for Wisconsin people in Wisconsin, right? We love the homegrown story. We love the guys that grew up in the state and played for the Badgers. And so I played with Jimmy in the NFL and in college. A great human being, a great coach. And so when you make that decision, the pressure gauge is dialing up, especially you let Paul Chris go, who had a great run here at Wisconsin. So a lot of pressure. And then all of a sudden, you're not able to have that success early on in your career as a coach. And so people are wondering, rightly so, like, hey, are we going to turn this thing around? Can we get back to who we used to be? And I think Coach Fickle's done a good job recruiting. But one of the big issues I think that Brady mentioned, too, is just that dislocation between who Wisconsin's always been, who are the players that we can get in here that can make a difference, and what is our difference maker, right? It's always been, hey, we're going to get the most out of all of our guys. They're going to play great team football. They're going to be selfless, and they're going to work really hard, and we're going to be able to use those tools to turn us into a really good team. And I think when you had an offense that was pass first, and then now you don't have a quarterback because they've been injured, and then it's always a little harder to recruit top-end quarterbacks at Wisconsin, and you kind of get away from us running the ball and getting big and physical. It's all those perfect storms put together that led to frustration in Badger football, but going back to that run-first physical style, leaning on what we can do from a recruiting standpoint, what type of players we can recruit and produce in the state of Wisconsin. I think things are looking brighter for Badger football.
Come on back. Hour 2 from Six Springs Farm in southwest Wisconsin. Joe Thomas, Brady Ewing. What's worse, and Wagyu beef. Stay tuned. Across Wisconsin. Our producer and engineer back at the world headquarters of Civic Media in downtown Madison above State Street, and our on-site producer, Mr. Chris Geezy, who we appreciate all of his help in coordinating this and making me at least look better, which is a tough task in and of itself. So we really appreciate all of Chris's help as well. Zommers, it's warm out here in the fields where we're looking at the Wagyu beef cattle behind us, but it's pleasant. What are things like down in Madison?
Also fairly warm, not nearly as bad as the last few days have been, though.
Very good. Zommers is very heat sensitive.
Yes, not a fan of the heat.
You're not a fan. In fact, you were supposed to go to the Brewers game last night. You got like heat stroke or something, for God's sake.
Yeah, I kept feeling like I was going to pass out whenever I was standing up, and I thought to myself, you know what? Sitting out in 100-degree heat is not going to help this.
Probably not. But the Brewers got a big win. They came from behind. The Miz was down 3-0. Brewers came back. Big win over the Cubs. The second game in the 3-game series kicks off tonight with the pregame show over many of these stations across Wisconsin. The Civic Media Radio Network pregame show at 6:05. First pitch from AM-FAM Field. Milwaukee against Chicago tonight on the Brewers Radio Network around 6:35, 6:40. You can hear it on several stations across Civic Media, including WRCE in Richland Center, WISS in Oshkosh, WBZH up in beautiful Hayward, and also WRJN in Racine, Wisconsin. Always appreciate the fans of the Brewers. They're hot guys. The Brewers are hot. The best record in baseball right now. Joe Thomas, Brady Ewing here at Six Springs Farm. Joe Thomas, the Hall of Famer. Brady Ewing, former 3-time Big Ten champion with the Badgers and 3 years in the NFL. Joe, again, thanks. As we start hour 2 here, we're going to get more into beef. But again, thanks for being our host and letting us come out here today.
Yeah, it's so great to have you guys out here to show you a little slice of heaven down in southwest Wisconsin.
Speaking of southwest Wisconsin, off of the text line, guys, Sean, listening in WRCE in Richland Center, says, growing up in Montfort, never thought I'd see an NFL player living in southwest Wisconsin, let alone 2. Very cool and awesome show.
I love it, man. There's all sorts of talent down here. Obviously, we got the work ethic here in the Driftless, but I played with a couple kids, or a kid from Lancaster,
Really?
Zach Hampton.
Oh, yeah.
Luke Swan from Fenimore. So there's a lot of talent. Don't sleep on the Driftless now.
No.
Under-recruited.
Yeah, that's right. Under-recruited, absolutely.
Absolutely. Also, Dave in New Berlin listening in saying there are 18 teams in the Big Ten. That crap keeps me up at night. Thoughts, Mr. Ewing?
Oh, man. It's tough competition. You think about, we talked about it earlier, just all the different teams going from East Coast to West Coast, having to be able to throw in some of those challenges. You live it in the NFL, but it's a little bit different in college. Usually you're bus driving or a quick flight and you're home. And, they're not calling it the Big 18 yet.
We don't need that. Do we? Do we need the Big 18?
I don't think we got the Big 18 anytime soon. I think it's going to be the Big 10, but it is interesting how there's kind of just 4 conferences now.
Yeah.
And I think the good news with that is they'll at least be able to get together and make some of the changes that are necessary because there's fewer people that have a say in what's going on. And I think finding a way to get parity, kind of salary cap, make it a little bit more like the NFL. So you do have a little bit more parity in the talent acquisition standpoint, I think will be good for the long-term health of college football.
Joe, do you think that we're moving towards, say, something in the soccer world of different levels of professional leagues? Is there truly just going to be 4, major conferences in one league that's a feeder to the NFL?
I mean, I think that's kind of what we're getting right now, and it's tough to say where legislation is going to end up with paying the players and, can it come from the school? Does it have to come from boosters? I think they're trying to figure out what makes the most sense and how they're able to preserve all the college sports, not just the revenue sports. So they've got a tough job. It's a tough time to be involved in college athletics right now because there's a lot of question marks and there's a lot of changes that need to happen, but the mechanisms of change aren't exactly super clear right now.
Before we move on into beef, one last football question for you. As one of my favorite announcers, Brent Musburger, was fond of saying when he worked with Kurt Herbstreit, my friends in the desert. The guys out in the desert say that the over-under for Wisconsin Badger football wins is 5.5. I ask you, Brady Ewing, over or under?
Taking the over.
Taking the over. Joe Thomas.
I got the over. I'm believing in them. I think it's going to be a good turnaround year. The Badger teams have always done the best when nobody gives them a chance. When everybody's sleeping on them, and it seems like we've always struggled when we go into the season with high expectations and all these guys that are going to play in the NFL. So I think we're in a good spot. I'm not sure we're ready to win the Big Ten championship just yet, but I think we're definitely going to surprise people this year.
2 professional football players have taken the over. The goofy announcer guy who never played football says, I bought the hype, not buying it. I'm taking the under.
Oh, wow. That's going to be a tough year to be a fan. Less than 5 wins.
And I hope I'm wrong. I
I get it. It's just honest.
We'll see. Yeah, absolutely. All right. It is coming up on now 12 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock. Time once again for an on-location edition of What's Worse. Let's go. Time once again for What's Worse. Nothing to give away, no prize money involved. It is your chance to have your voice heard on all 11 Civic Media Radio Network stations across the state of Wisconsin. No better place to advertise than right here at Civic Media. We would love to have you as a sponsor, a partner. Check us out at civicmedia.us. All right, Joe, Brady knows the drill here. We do a little goofiness in hour 2. We ask people to either text in. You can text on the Civic Media app. Download it for free on your Apple or Android device. Simply go to the search bar, type in Civic, C-I-V-I-C, Media. It'll pop up. Takes less than a minute. It is free. It's what CBS's Gail King calls a deal. You ever meet Gail King?
I haven't. Maybe I should. She sounds like a real thrill.
I watch her every morning. Who's the? I won't ask you the worst. Who's the coolest person in broadcasting that you ever met?
Oh, geez, there's a lot. I mean, there really is a lot of really awesome people in broadcasting, and working for NFL Network, I've got to work with a lot of them. Yeah. Chris Rose, he's my partner doing preseason for the Cleveland Browns. He's awesome because he's just such a humble guy. He's had an unbelievable, amazing career in baseball and football, working all across the media platforms. And he's just such a nice, humble, fun person to work with. So I'd say he's definitely up there. And then Dan Patrick's another guy that always comes to mind because when I was first starting out, we had mutual friends, and they connected us. And this is like one of the all-time greats in football media. And he took the time to just spent an hour on the phone with me just talking and helping me through like the interview process, what to think about, how to follow up on questions, and how to tell interesting stories. I mean, he just spent time, and I think that's the ultimate gift when you're a busy person, when you're somebody that's of that status. To give somebody the gift of time is the ultimate show of respect and care and servitude for somebody else.
That's great. I'm a big Dan Patrick fan, so that's really cool to hear. All right, here's our goofiness. Text in, call in. The number is 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842. Category today, on location, what's worse, chicken or pork? Chicken or pork? 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842, or text us on the Civic Media app. What's worse, chicken or pork? Zommers, I don't know who came off the graphics today, but neither one looks particularly appealing on the graphic right now.
If I had to describe them both, I would just say black.
Right, they're black,
as it is.
Black
They're
and
both
charred. Yeah, a Cajun chicken and a pork. What's worse, chicken or pork? Because guys, we all know what's best, which is Wagyu beef.
Obviously, we know what's the best, so that wasn't even a question out there. But I mean, I thought we were looking at charcoal. I thought somebody hadn't yet lit their charcoal grill, because those things
not
in the
good.
fire a while.
No, not good at all. Let's get into, while we're waiting for people to call or text in on what's worse, chicken or pork, let's take a look at the Facebook. Patty, watching us on Facebook, says, wondering if any of those Wagyu cattle behind you are from DZ Wagyu in Bloomer. Thanks for purchasing 15 steers from us, Joe. There you go.
We've got a few. They're not behind us. These are the mama cows. But as we've been building up our Wagyu herd, we've been buying from some local producers that are all buying genetics from Vermont Wagyu, which is kind of a longer story that we'll tell about how cool it was that as we got into the Wagyu game, one of the top producers in the country for the last 20 years, winning Best Steak in America award a few times, is Vermont Wagyu. And they've been in the business a long time. They're looking to get out of the cattle, the genetic side, and they found us. They heard about our story, decided, hey, we want this herd that we've spent 2 decades putting together to create the best beef, the best steaks on planet Earth. We want Six Springs Farms to be the steward of our herd, to kind of be able to move forward and take our genetics and what we're doing in Wagyu to that next step, and hopefully continue to promote Wagyu beef as a beef business that can help family farmers and kind of be our secret weapon over some of the bigger commercial corporate farmers. And when we've been kind of adding those animals, we've been finding some of the other producers that have been buying genetics and using the same bloodlines that came over from Japan. And DZ Wagyu up in Bloomer, near where my in-laws are, one of the folks that we bought some steers from in the last year. And so we're really excited to be able to kind of promote the greatness that is the producers, the farmers, the small family farms throughout the Driftless, and the awesome product that Wagyu beef provides.
Also, I can tell you that Patty's the great decorator. She and my sister are friends.
Oh!
She helped decorate for my niece's graduation.
So that was an inside job.
A little bit. When she heard you were going to be on, they were very, very excited.
I love it.
So, yeah, that was great. While we're waiting for some of our more goofy Zommers, we can take the graphic off there because people really want to see Joe Thomas. But what's worse, chicken or pork? You give us a call, 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842, or text us on the Civic Media app. I guess Whistler up in Richland Center, listening on WRCE. Whistler, thanks for calling in and watching. Chicken or pork, Whistler? What's worse?
I'd have to say chicken, because pork, that's the other white meat, and I really like it. Especially with
Yeah, amen. I love it. I can't argue that.
Preach.
A couple of my young nephews' kids, I think, Joe, at one point worked for you. Brady Roan,
Oh, yeah.
when you first got your farm, Brady and Braden Roan,
Yep.
they worked your farm for a little bit.
They did,
Actually,
yeah. I
lived
wish
there,
they were still working out here. Those guys were hard workers, couple wrestlers. We were just talking about the great tradition that this part of the state has with wrestling. I don't know if Jared won a state title, but I know Braden did. And now I think Braden's working in Blue River Fire Department, and great kids.
Yeah,
and
they
that's,
both are.
oh,
They
man.
both are. My grandson now is a wrestler, and he's getting involved in sand wrestling and going to tournaments and stuff. Right now, they had a big thing in Mineral Point last weekend, and he won first place in his division.
Hey,
All right.
there you go.
We love it.
Thanks, Whistler.
Nice.
Appreciate you calling in. Thanks for listening up there on WRCE, the old. I like to call it the home. That's where I got my start in radio, way back when, and
Nice.
just up the road, and just another great part about Southwest Wisconsin. Minute left. I'm not giving enough time, Joe, to really get into it. But when we come back, I want to hear what drew a guy grew up in Brookfield, spent a Hall of Fame career in the NFL. What really made you want? I guess we got a minute here going to the break, but what really made you want to do this?
Well, I was always a country boy at heart, but the reason I got into beef was because my kids wanted some pet cows. And I was like, well, I can't do dairy.
Is that
Can't be
simple?
there every day. And, hey, I love beef. I love that. They're very delicious. And, you're not supposed to eat the rest of your pets. So I figured, pet cows, if I got to get a pet animal, at least when it's all said and done, I'm going to enjoy a nice steak.
That's right. Hall of Famer Joe Thomas got into beef because his kids wanted some pets. The stories you didn't know. Now, as Paul Harvey said, now you know the rest of the story. Back after this from Six Springs Farm, it's the Allbaugh Show on location across to Wisconsin on the Civic Media Radio Network. Welcome back to Six Springs Farm. We are on location here in Southwest Wisconsin for the Allbaugh Show. Gonna get a farmer's tan today. If you're out here in Southwest Wisconsin, sun is out, guns are out. Not mine, but Joe Thomas's and Brady Ewing's. The two guys, I got a couple of guns here. We are here on location at Joe Thomas's farm, Six Springs Farm. Joe Thomas, NFL Hall of Famer, College Football Hall of Famer, Brady Ewing, 3-time Big Ten champion, and 3 years in the NFL. Zommers, you may have to host the rest of the show because Joe just brought out some samples of Wagyu beef and snack sticks. Holy smokes, Joe.
I'm in the Wagyu business, right? We also raise certified Angus, so I don't discriminate. Sometimes you just want a little bit more that traditional American beefiness, but for the most part, all I'm trying to do to promote people to buy the Wagyu and then promote other producers to try to get into producing and raising Wagyu is okay, we all love beef. We love eating steaks and hamburgers and all the things. Try that. And I dare you to tell me that's not the best steak you've ever had in your entire life by a million miles.
It's incredible.
And this was cooked by an offensive lineman. Imagine if somebody knows what they're doing and they were cooking that. It'd blow your mind.
We're putting a couple of photos up right now for those watching the stream, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And, that's just the marbling in there, first of all, Joe, and then that kind of medium rare. Holy cow. That's not done by synthetics or, it's natural genetics right there. Todd, I know, okay, so part of it before the break, you said your kids wanted pets, and you said, fine, I'll get some cattle.
Yeah.
But there's a little bit more serious side to this because you talked very openly later in your NFL career about having some memory issues and that sort of thing in your health. And this wasn't not started by impetus of just saying, hey, I got to take better care of myself, and I want to pass this on to other people.
So I retired in 2017. Everyone's like, oh, you're so young. You're still playing great. Why would you walk away from the game? Well, if I could still play, I would. This was not voluntary. My knee, my joints, they were really in bad shape. I just had my hip replaced 3 months ago. Doing well now, but the game of football it takes a toll on your body, especially for me playing 10 and a half years, never missed a play. And in college, I think I missed a couple plays once in a bowl game when I tore my ACL in the second half. But other than that, I was always available. Yeah. And so it beats you up. And when I retired, my doctor for the Browns said, hey, your knee, it's not going to get any better because the only thing we can do is give you a knee replacement or you can lose weight. And it's going to make a huge difference because 1 pound on your body puts 3 pounds of force through your joints. And so I was like, enough said. I'm tired of sliding down the stairs on my butt and getting my knee drained and injected every single week. I want to do whatever it takes to get myself feeling better because if I don't feel well, I'm just going to be grumpy and I'm going to be a terrible dad. I'm going to be a terrible servant to my wife and my communities. And I wanted to make a change. And so I really dove into the wellness and did as much research and studies about, okay, how do I reduce inflammation in my body? How do I eat things that are going to be medicine for my body and make me feel better and not make me feel worse? When I was playing in the NFL, I had to eat a lot to be able to keep 310 pounds because I'm not naturally a huge guy. So, 10,000 calories, and they weren't good calories. They were ice cream and cookies and pastas and pizza.
You almost have to get the amount of calories you need to maintain that.
Yeah, if you're eating Brussels sprouts and asparagus, you could spend the entire day eating like a cow, and you would not get enough calories to maintain 310 pounds. But obviously, things are different when you retire, and so I found low carb, keto diet, basically like just cutting out carbs, focusing on really high quality proteins that are raised the right way, and then really high quality vegetables. We've had a garden for 20 years since I was a rookie in the NFL. And so raising my own food as much as I could to know what was in that food. And so that I knew it was going to be good medicine for my body, because it's a lot cheaper to eat well and treat yourself well than it is to, down the line, pay for the medical bills that come when you're not doing things the right way. And so as I started researching how I could get some pets that I could eat for my children, which turns out to be cows, I realized, like, wow, this is going to be a big difference maker, because the commercial box beef that you're getting at the grocery store or a lot of butcher shops, we don't know how they were raised. And now that I looked into it, now I'm in the beef business, now I know how they're raised, and I'm definitely not buying that stuff anymore, because there's such a difference in the quality when you're buying from a small family farm, when you know what's being fed to that animal, how they're being cared for, the animal husbandry, the fact that if you're raising beef on a family farm in the Driftless, like they know where that animal's been its whole life. Mm-hmm. It's not like it's coming from Mexico, getting shipped up to a feedlot here, getting backgrounded somewhere else. Like, you know exactly what you're getting. And that was really important for me with my own health journey, losing 50 pounds, feeling better, feeling more energized and a much clearer headspace. And I've got 4 kids, and I want to make sure that I'm feeding them and teaching them the right way of what to eat, how to eat, and then letting them experience how it makes you feel. And so that's really one of the big things that led me into being excited about raising my own beef. And then it led me to Wagyu, which is much higher in oleic acid, which is olive oil basically. That's why the Mediterranean diet, they always say, is the best, most healthy diet ever, because it's high in that oleic acid, which is good for inflammation. It reduces it. It's good for your heart health. It reduces your bad cholesterol, your LDLs, and it makes you feel a lot better. And that's actually also why when you eat that Wagyu, it's got that amazing butteriness, that tenderness that people are all looking for when they're experiencing steak. And so it was really the best of both worlds. It was pretty much a no-brainer for me to raise my own Wagyu.
Brady, a minute left here, but we talk about, you're on the dairy side of agriculture, and I changed over to Organic Valley Milk back in 2007 when I was living in Florida for a few months. Mm-hmm. It completely changed my digestive system. You see this on dairy too.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, where things are sourced, the diet they're fed, just like human beings, and trying to optimize your health by what you put into your body. That's some of the greatest medicine that we have. As I'm sitting over here choking over my first bite of Wagyu. Amazing.
Converted.
Yeah, it's fantastic. We're going to talk more specifically about Wagyu beef and what's important, Hall of Fame beef, how you can get it, and our friends up the road, Prem Meats and Spring Green. That's how you can get Hall of Fame beef. Joe Thomas is the owner. We are here at Six Springs Farm along with Brady Ewing. Don't go anywhere. We'll come back after a farm update after this on the Civic Media Radio Network. Welcome back to Six Springs Farm. We are on location with the Allbaugh Show across the Civic Media Radio Network. It is now 35 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on a beautiful, gorgeous, picture-perfect afternoon in southwest Wisconsin. Glad you're here. We are here at Six Springs Farm. Joe Thomas, college football and NFL Hall of Famer, is not only our host here at Six Springs, but also our guest for the entire show, along with Brady Ewing, 3-time Big Ten champion and 3 years in the NFL. Always appreciate Brady taking time out to be a co-host and be here on the show. Guys, check out the text line here. Jim from Brookfield, Joe's hometown, says, "Hi, Joe, an old Brookfield Central alum who played Lancer football back in the late 70s. Thank you for giving us an alum something to mention and be proud of when talking about BC Lancer football programs, even though your era pushed out all the memorabilia to the back of the trophy area, Joe."
Sorry about that. That's something I can't
Jim
control.
Brookfield. Yeah.
They're always looking for more donations for a bigger trophy case. So, Jim, don't be afraid to open up that wallet.
There you go.
Let's see here. We were doing before the break there, what's worse, chicken or pork? Tyler, listening on WFHR up in Wisconsin Rapids, says, if a chicken and a pork were given an intelligence test, I think the chicken would cross the road to get out of it. Oh, nicely done. Very good.
Jokes are the best.
Megan in Sun Prairie, listening on WMDX in Madison, says chicken is worse. It's not as flavorful as itself as pork is. I guess I did ask you guys, chicken or pork, what's worse, Joe?
I mean, I love both of them, so it's hard to pick what's worse, but based on those photos, I think that chicken's going to be a little less appetizing because that thing looks like a meteorite, and not in a good way. Like, you pull a brisket off the smoker and it looks like a meteorite, like, it's probably going to be perfect.
Yeah.
Chicken like that, not so much.
Not so much. Brady, what's worse?
No, I'm I'm going pork's worse.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I like a good pork butt or pork shoulder smoked, but chicken, especially when you're looking to get the kids to eat some protein. If you're not eating Wagyu beef or beef, that's a good option. Some good homegrown chicken tenders.
I'm going chicken is worse because from pork you get bacon. And after Wagyu beef, what's better than bacon?
Yeah,
so
pretty awesome. That's also undefeated.
Yeah, exactly, right? All right, thanks everybody who played What's Worse. I'll have another edition for you tomorrow. Joe, you've been so kind here. Over the break, you brought out some of these great snack sticks. This one is apple cheddar snack sticks. People who watch this show will know that I don't say things that I really don't mean. Folks, I'm telling you, and I'm going to eat another one of these on the air. This is the best snack stick I ever had. And someone who's much more successful than me in the broadcasting world, Dan Patrick, has tried these, right, Joe?
Dan loved them. I brought him up to Green Bay when I was on his show during the draft and didn't tell him. I was going to ambush him with some Hall of Fame beef sticks. And on the air, I was like, hey, you want to try one? And he's a gracious host. He's very polite. So, of course, I knew he was going to say yes and maybe take a no thank you bite. But he took a little bite, and then all of a sudden he goes, oh, there was like an audible gasp because he was so surprised with how amazing it was. Because I think most people are used to having beef sticks that are a little dry, maybe a little bit tough. These are not. Let me tell you, spoiler alert, they're buttery, they're soft, they're very tender. They got an amazing flavor. And it's the cheat code for my wife to get my kids to eat protein as a snack instead of reaching for chips or whatever when they get home from school or before sporting events. And it's been awesome because the Prem brothers at Prem Meats do an amazing job. I was taking my venison there for them to process, and that's really how the connection was formed. They're right down the road. They've got their natural harvest on-site harvesting facility that we use for our slaughter, and they make amazing recipes with their smoked products, with their sticks, with their summer sausage, with their jerky, and as you can see, that thing is a winner right there.
Prem Meats, just down the road here in Spring Green, one of our great sponsors at Civic Media for WRCO in Richland Center. So we appreciate Prem Meats sponsorship. And they just put out a great product and great folks as well, Joe.
Yeah, they're great people. I mean, they just really, to me, typify what it is to be a great human being in the Driftless area, right? Giving back to the community, doing great things, employing people in the area, using local products to promote this great area and all the amazing people that work in agriculture and create some cutting edge, amazing next level egg products. Like you mentioned, Organic Valley, like people all over the world, they know that brand and they know the people and the places in the Driftless. And that's one of the things I'm passionate about is promoting this amazing part of the country that's very unique, that creates amazing, healthy agriculture products.
Yeah, and I appreciate that as a guy who grew up here and still gets back here a lot. Brady grew up here and came back. I mean, we're naturally in love with this Brady, but to have a guy like Joe that grew up in Brookfield discover that and be so bring the same passion he brought on the field every week to this industry, I think is just amazing for tourism and telling the story of Southwest Wisconsin.
It is great, and I think, when you live here, I grew up in Richland Center, and you leave, we went to Atlanta, to Jacksonville, and you get the chance to come back to the area. It gives you a different appreciation, and we just lived it again here this past week. We went on a family trip to South Dakota, did the Badlands and the Black Hills and that whole trip, and to be able to come back to the Driftless area, as amazing as that country was and how fun it was so good to be back, see the trout streams rolling, see the rolling hills, see the herds of cattle that are mixing and mingling, the corn continuing to grow. So just feel tremendously blessed to live here and lay our roots here in the family and continue to grow that.
That's Brady Ewing, three-time Big Ten champion with Wisconsin Badgers, spent 3 years in the NFL, along with Joe Thomas, the Hall of Famer of the NFL, and also in college football as well. We're here live at Six Springs Farm on a beautiful Tuesday afternoon. Joe, one of the cool things about Wagyu beef, explain to us as people are watching on the stream, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, you can see the cattle back there behind us. They're chilling out. If this were a human place, this would be like the spa. I mean, this is like a cattle spa, low stress, natural grass, all that ties in to make a great product.
Yeah, it's my passion project right now to try to create the best beef on planet Earth. And I knew if I was going to do that, I was going to have to get the best genetics that's possible, from marbling, tenderness, all those different stats that you look at that you put in your mouth, you're like, that's an amazing steak. That's a bite that I'm going to never forget. But also, as I'm learning, like we talked about earlier, I didn't grow up on a farm. I didn't really know anything about beef until quite recently. 2018, we got our first animals. And as I've learned and talked to people that are much smarter and much more experienced in this world than me, learning that how the animals are raised, the animal husbandry, the food, the low pressure and stress that you put on the animals, giving them a place in the summer like we have behind us where they can get out of the sun and get out of that heat, jump in the river and cool off a little bit if it's a hot day, have this amazing pasture that we have here throughout the Driftless with this thousands and thousands of years of deep soils that are rich and fertile, and they produce the nutrients that your beef needs to raise a healthy calf, to have a mother that's got amazing milk, to raise steers that now have great marbling and great tenderness, and keeping that pressure and that stress on them just super low so that they can just enjoy the spa all day long until it's all said and done and they get to turn into amazing steaks.
Right, exactly. The other cool thing I love about this is for economic reasons. Brady and I grew up here, this part of the state, Richland County, south of us, Lafayette County. They've gone through some hard economic times, Joe, and I think that agriculture for Brady and dairy and you in the beef industry is changing. That's just the fact of it. But Wagyu beef is an opportunity for people in all over Wisconsin to have a fighting chance. Explain that.
Yeah, do I want people to buy Hall of Fame beef? Of course. But if you're not going to buy it, that's okay. What I'd like you to do is just find somebody that produces local Wagyu, because I think you'll appreciate the difference that it is as far as how you eat it and the taste and the experience of eating this type of beef. But I think you also feel better when you're doing it. And I think as you start to enjoy it and search it out a little bit more and start finding those small family farmers, I think it hopefully will create a little bit of a movement and even more demand than there already is. Because as I'm learning, I think Wagyu beef really could be the secret sauce and secret recipe for small family farms to be able to keep them in the family, to be able to keep them and pass them down from generation to generation. Because right now, if you're a small family farmer, you're trying to compete with somebody who's a big corporate farm, and they're able to produce on a much greater scale than you are. And so they're therefore going to be able to sell their products way cheaper. So what's the differentiator? And I think the great thing about Wagyu is it takes almost twice as long to finish than an Angus.
Wow.
So a big producer, big feedlot, they don't want to spend the time on it. It takes a lot more care. You have to be much more delicate and gentle with their feed ration, with how you handle them. And it sets up perfectly, because of the higher margins that you get raising Wagyu, to be the differentiator, the difference maker for a small family farm, because they're already using all these practices on their animals. And if they just put Wagyu into their herd and they spent the same amount of energy and effort raising Wagyu instead of Angus, they're going to get paid more. And now all of a sudden they're going to be able to make enough money to keep the family farm together, to be able to pass it on to the next generation. And I fear that because of the economics of farming and because of the huge scale that a lot of these people have, because of the way that now we have embryo transfer and artificial insemination that's much cheaper, that now the big guys are able to have that huge advantage in genetics. Like, you're never going to be able to beat those guys on cost, because it's just too economical. Their economies of scale are too great. And so you're going to be just fighting to the bottom, trying to eke out a profit, doing the same thing that they're doing, whereas they don't have the ability to raise Wagyu because it takes so much longer, so much more care, more patience, more customized attention with each animal, that it's a way to keep those guys out and to be able to focus on the family farm and produce something that people are going to be able and willing to pay more for, because it is so special, not only with how it tastes, but how it makes your body feel.
We're talking with Joe Thomas, Hall of Famer in the NFL and college football, along with Brady Ewing, three-time Big Ten champion, and spent 3 years in the NFL. If you have a question, Joe and Brady have been gracious enough to say, give us a call, 855-752-4842, 855-752-4842 to call in or text us on the Civic Media app. Brady, we've talked about it in dairy, but a lot of conversation between the two of you comes down to choices, right? Like, I buy organic Valley milk, and people, oh my God, you pay $5 for a half gallon of milk? Well, yeah, I do. I used to be in the coffee business. We bought our coffee directly from farmers in Central America. We paid above fair trade value, and we charged $4 and something for a cup of black pour over coffee. They're like, that's ridiculous. But people will go to a restaurant and pay $15 for a glass of Cabernet.
Yeah.
And so we're all making choices, right? And I think that in dairy, again, Organic Valley or other organic place like that, you're making decisions about your body. If you got kids, what you're going to give your kids, same thing for beef.
Yeah, I think that's our opportunity as a consumer to put out a little bit of a vote too. You know, when we support Organic Valley or other producers, supporting those local farms, you know, we're supporting them to help do what they do, what they love to do. And I think that's what's really cool about what Joe's doing is, yes, he wants Hall of Fame beef to be successful, but it seems like he wants the greater industry to be successful and that local family farm too, which is really neat.
It's about supporting the family farms, but also your own family.
Absolutely. I mean, when you're on the consumer end of it, you care about the food that your kids are eating. You care about their health and their wellness probably more than your own. And when you understand the difference of how something is raised, whether it be something from Organic Valley or other organic producers in the Driftless area or just other producers in the Driftless area, and you realize that my health and my kids' health and wellness is on the line every time I put something on the plate, and building those good habits and being willing to spend a couple extra dollars more makes sense, because in the end, if you're not taking care of yourself, you're not eating the right things that are raised in the right manner, it's going to cost you plenty financially, but also with how you feel. And I think as it's great, the values in Wisconsin, we're a little bit cheap sometimes, right? We're thrifty. We're not afraid of a good deal.
Yeah.
And so that's how we were raised, right? Like penny pinching and canning. I grew up can all summer. And you do all those things to save a few dollars, which is awesome and it's important. But at the same time, are you willing to spend a little bit more to eat really good, high-quality food and support your local farmers, and it's going to pay dividends down the line? Or are you going to pinch pennies there and then just have a $10,000 medical bill from your doctor down the line?
Joe Thomas, Brady, we will come back and wrap it up from Six Springs Farm after this. And a little surprise from football to basketball. We'll explain on the other side on the Civic Media Radio Network. Back here where we come from, at least three of us on the set right now, beautiful Southwest Wisconsin. We are coming to you live from Six Springs Farm, the home of Joe Thomas's Six Spring Farm. Joe Thomas, NFL Hall of Famer, College Football Hall of Famer, and also Brady Ewing, three-time Big Ten champion on the football side, and spent 3 years in the NFL. And you never know who's going to stop by the farm here in Southwest Wisconsin. One of Mr. Basketball here in Wisconsin from Southwest Wisconsin as well, played for Bo Ryan and the Wisconsin Badgers. Mike Wilkinson. Mike, how the heck are you?
Doing good.
It's great to have you here.
Good to be here.
So tell folks that might not know where you grew up and how long what years were you playing for Wisconsin?
Well, I grew up about half an hour west of Madison Arena, Blue Mountains area, and I played for Wisconsin, gosh, a long time ago now, 2000, 2005. Right. But no, I retired from basketball in 2015 and came back and started working on the farm again, and we've expanded from 240 acres to just about 600 since then, and we do some Highland beef, Scottish Highland beef, and Joe's been talking to me about some of the stuff he's been doing, and I wanted to come down and take a look. And
I can't thank you enough for stopping by, but also coming on the show, because just like Brady, growing up in this part of the state, coming back to the community, you've done the same thing. Joe being a Brookfield guy coming out here to Southwest Wisconsin. All three of you guys are examples of, I think, why people love the Wisconsin Badgers so much. And you're the ethos of what makes Wisconsin great. We say this all the time on this show, what makes Wisconsin great. The three of you are examples because you're giving back to your community and you're making life better, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things that, the teams that I've been on in Wisconsin were really close, especially the guys that are from the state, because there's a value system that we all share about giving back and being great servants, not only just with our communities and then with our teammates, but now with our families. All of us have young kids, and we're trying to show them the right way to do things, the right way to treat people. And I think those are the values that are really strong in this state that are reflected with our sports when we watch those teams, those great teams that we've all enjoyed cheering for through the years.
Yeah, absolutely. Mike, I was down in EW Platteville when Coach Ryan coached down there. Had 3 years to follow the team there. But talk just a minute or so. We talked earlier what it was like playing for Barry Alvarez, for Coach Ryan at Wisconsin there. Again, somebody who demands the most of his players, but also teaches you something.
Oh, I mean, he demands a lot, and I was fortunate enough to get to play for him, and I mean, he recruited me to Platteville in my early days in high school, and then he asked if I'd be interested in going to Milwaukee when he was at Milwaukee, and then when I signed with Wisconsin, I redshirted my first year, and lo and behold, my first year playing, he was the head coach at Wisconsin. So,
wow.
We actually have a pretty decent relationship, all through basketball. And I mean, I rent land from his sister-in-law out by us.
Really?
Yep. So
Small world.
it
Small world.
is. It's crazy. But I mean, I haven't seen him a whole lot lately. We've been busy on the farm and everything like that. But I mean, he always demanded the most, and he always knew which buttons to push to get the most out of his players.
I have said this program before, other than my own dad and granddad. One of the three men that had the most influence in my life was Coach Ryan. Just the way he did his business, way he paid attention. He always told his players, but all those of us around him, it's the details, guys. It's the details. If you pay attention to the details, the rest of the stuff takes care of itself. And I think that's just a great attitude in life.
Oh, definitely. And, you know, the small things make a difference, but he brought the right people in that could fit together. And, you know, being from Wisconsin, if you have to have a work ethic to be able to play for him. And, you know, that kind of carried me through and made a big difference with a lot of people on our team.
Brady Ewing wrapping things up here. 1 minute. Final thoughts here from Six Springs Farm.
Awesome. I mean, the Wagyu, first time ever having it. I totally taste the difference. The apple cheddar sticks are amazing. Love that there's real cheddar cheese in there, not the, you know, more process-based stuff. So really cool to be able to catch up with you guys, see you, Mike. I've seen Leslie a little bit more here recently, playing some basketball with him. And, yeah, always good to be on the show, Todd. So thanks for having
appreciate
me.
your time, Brady. I know you got a football camp. You got to get back to Richland Center. You're helping out youth. That's fantastic. And always appreciate you taking time for us. Joe Thomas, again, many, many thanks for not just for allowing us to help tell your story today and being here, but being an example of what it means to be a Badger and a Wisconsinite. I really appreciate that.
Well, thanks, Todd, for being out here today. It really means a lot for me and for the people of the Driftless area and from the producers that are trying to do great things and trying to give back. And it's humbling just to be part of something special and have a vision of like, hey, let's do something for the small family farmer. Let's try to promote this amazing region of these people that are working hard and doing great things, and let's shine a spotlight on them. And so I think today we did a great job of that. So thank you so much for offering your time and coming out here.
Our honor and our pleasure. Before we get out of here, Joe, if folks want to purchase Hall of Fame beef, how can they do it?
Well, it's not available yet because we're all sold out.
He's so successful.
No, we are a small family farm, so we don't have a huge herd, but we're starting to harvest some more animals. Prems was out here a few weeks ago, and so we've got more animals that are ready. They're going to be available for sale mid-August on our website, or you can always come to Prem Meats in Spring Green, and it's a really cool spot. You can get some snack sticks, and it's just a cool spot. You know, like when I was a kid, we'd go to Cabela's because it was just fun seeing everything. Prems is like adult Cabela's because they got an amazing, food section, obviously, with all the beef and all their smoked products, and they've got incredible local other products with the bakery, and then they've got a wine and a liquor section. So it's everything you need if you're going to go grilling and going to have a big day with the family in the summer.
Yeah, Prems is great. You can find out Hall of Fame beef as well in the socials. Six Springs Farm on the socials. Follow that and follow Joe Thomas. I mean, he's a big deal, right? So we appreciate that. Before we get out of here, guys, it takes a team, as you guys know. Many thanks to all the folks here at Six Springs Farm, including Brent, Hayden, Sawyer, Aiden, and Jack. Without you guys, we couldn't have done this. Of course, without Chris Geezy, our on-site producer, for making all this happen, and Aaron Zommer is our producer and engineer back at the world headquarters in Madison. Thank you, and all of you for listening. Stay tuned. Maggie Dawn is next across the Civic Media Radio Network. Brady Ewing, Mike Wilkinson, Joe Thomas, the Hall of Famer. Thanks, guys. We appreciate you. Eat well, ladies and gentlemen, and as we always say at the end of the show, whatever you're fighting for, whatever you believe in, do not give up. Keep banging your drum. We'll see you tomorrow.